So in this session, we're going to introduce the classic works and renowned doctors. Asian medical appearance was from 2100 BC to 476 BC. This is oracle bronze inscriptions. Oracle bronze is one of the oldest language that has been discovered in China. The discovery of oracle bones also quite interesting. Although oracle bones had been extremely long in the history, but the discovery of oracle bones is rather short in late Qing dynasty, so it's about 100 years only. At that time, there was one scholar in Beijing. He is the head of the National Library in China. He suffered from diarrhea, and then he went to a Chinese medicine practitioner, and the practitioner prescribed one ingredient of longgu. Longgu is the fossils of the animal bones. It has the function to stop diarrhea, to calm can stop the diarrhea, also to calm the spirits, calm the minds, to improve sleeping. So the practitioner prescribed longgu in the formula, in the ingredients, and then that's when he prepared, when he prepared the medicine, he realized that the ingredients of longgu, the fossil, have some cracks. And then he actually, because he was so educated, he realized that this may be an old language. So he went back to the pharmacy, he bought all longgu, and then he actually traced back to the pharmacy. Where did you get this longgu from? He traced back to the original wholesaler. He bought all of these. That's how we kept the oracle bones, how we kept the initial language of the Chinese language. The oracle bones, this is basically, because this is extremely old, and then the information here mostly is from praying or predicts. So for example, before, in old times, when those people want to go hunting or want to travel to somewhere, they will pray, they will have like fortune teller to predict should or should not. So these scripts are actually, most of them are actually the records of these events. But why we mention here? Because from these, there are some words that's related to health. Then you will know that actually people at that time try to understand the reason of diseases. For example, this image, you can see the oracle bones, the Chinese character. Even today, the Chinese character actually a drawing. So it's not like English. The Chinese character actually drawing. So I will show you how we draw before. But from here, where you can see, you can remove the parts inside. This similar to a hook. You remove this one. You can see this parts. It actually the mouth, the teeth. Okay, and then you drop here. So this is a decayed tooth. So from these words, you can see that from Chinese character, from the words you can see the meaning. So from here you can see you actually explain the decayed tooth. It's actually from animal, but I don't know what's this animal. So nowadays we know it can be infections, bacteria. For example, this words, this the old writing, and now today we write in this way. This is water. It's similar to in a river. For example, the river flow in this way, and now you can see the waves. So that's water. And then this is the rain. So the water from the sky. So the water from the sky dropped on the ground. That's the rain. So that's why I said Chinese character is drawing. Even today, these words are developed from here. For example, even from these words, you can see clear. Moon, how we write today is like this, but where initially, how did it initially come from? It's like this, and from here, drop here. You see, initially, it's actually the drawing of the moon, and then, because when you see the moon, this image does not reflect, but when you see the moon, you can see the moon, there's some darkness on the moon. So that's why you put darkness there, and then they change the shape and change into this and now. So that's the characteristics of Chinese character. That's also why we assume the meaning of the words. You also from the words you can see if those people know or try to understand or not the cause. These are some theories that commonly used in applied in Chinese culture and in Chinese medicine. But in the history, we don't explain in details, but we will explain more in the basic theory. The qi, essence, spirit, or mind. You can see many translations of spirits, and here in this theory, I prefer to use mind. The reason is because there's no spirits in Chinese medicine. We do, as I mentioned, that we do not deal with any spiritual perspectives. The reason why it translates into this word is because the Chinese, the spiritual words jing and the spiritual itself are the same words. So jing shen, the spirit, the mind, your energy level. When you translate into English, it becomes spirit, the same words. But to avoid the confusions, I prefer to use the mind. The theory of yin and yang, the theory of 5 elements and 8 trigrams, and these are the theories that we use in acupuncture. This is the yin-yang fish, and I'm sure most of us should have seen this. And this is another yin-yang fish. I would say the one on the right side is actually the correct one. So the yin-yang fish with a smaller head is the correct one. But the one in the middle, this one looks better, but this is actually the correct one. Why is the correct one? It's because you need to understand where does yin and yang comes from, or where does this image comes from. We're going to introduce in the basic theory. It actually imitates the movements of the moon and the earth. The 5 elements. 5 elements is also the relationship among different elements, and these will affect, or we can use this theory to explain our health. For example, when you feel stress, you may feel your digestive function may decline, so you don't feel that hungry. But what happened to here is, because the stress is the wood, and then the digestive function is the earth, so the woods may affect the earth. So when you have emotion problems, it may affect your digestive function. Or sometimes, for example, some students before examination, they may have diarrhea. So these are the woods related to the affecting the earth. The liver affecting the spleen or the digestive function. So in Chinese medicine, we actually try to use the 5 elements to explain the relationship between 2 organs and among 3 organs. This is the 8 trigrams. Yin and Yang theory, the Yin and Yang theory, we actually use the theory to apply to anywhere. It refers to the relationship between 2 interrelated items or interrelated phenomena. So here is the yin and yang. Where does the yin and yang comes from? But in the basic theory, I will show you a kind of a video how the yin and yang fish draws. and what are the relation between the movement of the sun and the earth, why it has this shape. The medical knowledge and experiences. The first one is Zhou Li. As I mentioned when I introduced the dynasty flow from Xia Sang Zhou, the third dynasty. Zhou Li, this is a book records the etiquette of Zhou dynasty, so how people behave, what are the proper behavior, and also for the funeral after people pass away, how to deal with these, all these etiquettes that's recorded in this book. And this book describes that doctors specialize in various fields, including nutrition, internal and external medicine, trauma care, and veterinary medicine. You see, at that time, which means more than 2,000 years ago, actually more than 2,500 years ago, at that time they already recorded that doctors have different specialties. So which means you can see from here, you can see that Chinese medicine developed quite early, because at that time they already have specialized, which means to specialize medicine, you need to have a GP. Similar to here, you need to have a GP. You need to accumulate certain knowledge before you can specialize in different field. So this is actually an evidence of the development of Chinese medicine, the early development of Chinese medicine. 列子is actually a literature work. So this is not a medical book, but it describes a story of Bian Que and Tosi Wan. Bian Que is one of the figure in the history, and it's true figure in the history, and also important figure in Chinese medicine history, because he's very famous in clinical practice. In this book, it describes a story of Bian Que and Tosi Wan. What happens to this is Bian Que, he's a very skilled practitioner for surgery. Before surgery, he will ask the patient to drink a Tosi Wan, and then the patient will sleep, and then he can perform surgery. And afterwards, the patient can wake up again. So this is actually very similar to anesthetics today. But you can see the dates 450 BC to 375 BC, that's about 2,400 years ago. So we already have this kind of theory or this kind of thoughts. But I have to say that today we don't know what the Tosi Wan is. We don't know the ingredients. So, but at least we can see that the practitioners at that time, they have the initial thoughts of anesthetic to reduce pain. Bian Que, why it says an important figure in Chinese medicine is because Bian Que have the other story of Bian Que is Bian Que have another two siblings, so three brothers, including Bian Que itself. The elder brother, the middle brother, and Bian Que. Bian Que is the little brother, and Bian Que is the most famous practitioner among the three. But when people ask Bian Que, among three of you, who's the best one? Bian Que says, my elder brother is the best one, but no one knows his brother. Even today, we don't know Bian Que's brother. That's why we also always says Bian Que's brother, Bian Que's elder brother, Bian Que's middle brother. So Bian Que is the most famous one, but then Bian Que says actually his elder brother is the best one. But why? Then Bian Que explains. He says that the best doctor will treat diseases from prevention. So don't even allow the disease to happen. The middle level of the practitioner, which means is his middle brother, always treat patients from the initial stage. So before the disease develop into too critical, he will treat the patient to treat the disease from the initial stage, and himself always treat patient at the final phase. But because he is so skillful, and then he can recover patient from critical stage. That's why he's become the most famous. But according to him, the elder brother who prevent the diseases is the best one. So this thoughts, this theory, still today we emphasize. So that's why it says Chinese medicine, we focus on diseases, health and diseases, but we also focus on prevention. So we not only focus on treatment, but we rather also focus on prevention. So you're going to treat patients before they become sick for prevention. So these are the theory from 2,400 years ago. Bian Xue also clearly explain or emphasize the separates between medical and religion. He says people who believe in religious perspective cannot be treated, but this does not mean he refused to treat those people who believe in religious. But if you use religious belief for treatment, we don't treat, because you can't. Because religious, we respect religious. You can do religious perspective, but you can't use religious perspective for diseases. Even today, we still have the same attitude or same view that we respect religious, we respect your beliefs, you can do whatever you want, but you can't use that for treatment. So when you go to diseases, you're going to use medicine, and then the religious perspective, these two can be used together, but you can't replace each other. Okay, so this thought was from Bian Xue. That's also why I said Chinese medicine is different from many traditional medicine, because we separate in such a long time. We separate in 2,400, 2,500 years ago. The medical knowledge were recorded on bamboo slips. The bamboo slips is similar to these. These are actually bamboo, and then they're going to tie with the string, and then before they use a knife to carve on it, and afterwards they can write on here. Where does these come from? Is because you see here, this is a grave. When people pass away, they will put a lot of bamboo slips, a lot of equipment, utensils around there. So this is because of Chinese culture. When people pass away, we think that they still can use these stuff after they pass away. So that's why in a grave, we put a lot of items there. And nowadays, when we unearth, we discover the graves, we see all these. And the bamboo slip of the Qin dynasty, that's about 2,000 years ago. Qin dynasty was from 2321 BC to around 2,000 years ago. So Qin dynasty, the bamboo slip from Qin dynasty, it recorded these words. So it recorded the Li Qian Shuo. Li Qian Shuo is actually a quarantine hospital for leprosy. Quarantine hospital. So this happens, for example, during COVID-19, the first step we need to do is a lockdown, to quarantine, to ask patients to self-quarantine either in the hospital or at home. You need to separate. You see, this already happens in 2,000 years ago from Chinese medicine. We already know that you need to separate the infectious diseases, epidemics. 风诊室, this is one of the earliest records of medical files. So it requires doctors to keep the records of the patient, their names, their characteristics, gender, and then you need to keep the records of the patient. So this is also in Qin dynasty. This is another unearthed evidence. Ma Wangdui, Han Teng. So this is also a grave a term in Han Dynasty. That's about 2,200 years ago. In this term, we discovered that some books on acupuncture. For example, the first one, 足臂十一脉灸经. 足 is the foot, 臂 is the arm. 11 means 11, 脉 is the pulse, 灸 is the motivation, 经 is the book. Okay, so this book describes 11 meridians in the foot and in the arms. From this book and until today, you also can have evidence what I said before, where medicine comes from is the accumulation of human knowledge and human experiences. The reason because from here, 2,200 years ago approximately, until today we have 12 meridians and 8 actual meridians. But at that time, we only have 11 meridians, 11. So you can see from the development from 11 to 12 to 14 to additional 8 actual meridians, the accumulation from human knowledge. The second is 胎产书. 胎产书 is a book on giving birth, on delivery, so a specific monograph. And the third one is 导引图. 导引图, you can see here, I'll give you an example. We also have a copy in the Acupuncture Museum, so you're more than welcome to have a look. Still in this term, in this grave, we found 治百病方, 治 means treat, 百病 means 100 diseases, fang means formula. So you can see at that time, we have some formula books, we have some books focused on medicine, with some monograph focused on medicine.